Right, okay. Concord's first three lines are choice. Right, okay, this is going to be a video about the first three lines of the song Concord by Black Country New Road. And there will be a little bit about All Is Quiet on the Western Front in it as well. So this is a general overview of what I'm thinking of doing in this little presentation. The word Concord I'm going to talk about because I didn't know what it meant until I looked it up. What I took it to mean and where I am with it now, that'll be explained. A little bit on the Frank Ocean spelling of blonde. The three lines, the aforementioned three lines. Concord this organ, the new one I'm forming. It's grown so persistent on you. And then the two songs that directly follow it, which are Bread Song and Good Will Hunting, and then the organ piano metaphor, and then W.B. Yeats, a drinking song, and Praise the Lord, Fear of God. And there's a Hammond B3 over there. Initially, I took Concorde to mean the Concorde, the jet, between France, England, U.S., and I think it's pretty commonly accepted. And so when I first heard the song, I assumed it was all about the whole Concorde and travel ruining life and relationships and whatnot. And the first three lines I thought were intentionally vague and not worth thinking about or picking at. And every time I listened to it, I didn't really care or get it. I assumed it was about a doctor's visit that him and Concorde went on. I'm not sure. Yeah, and then I was reading this book, All Is Quiet on the Western Front, and I came across this in the book, and he's describing like the camp they're in Germany, and he says, the barracks are deserted, everything's sleep. All one hears is the drummers practicing. They have installed themselves anywhere and practice brokenly, dully, monotonously. What a concord! Exclamation point. I think probably ironic. So I looked up the word because I didn't actually know what it meant, and it's, as you can see in the right there, state of agreement or harmony, a treaty or agreement, and then in music, chord harmonious in itself, not needing others to resolve it. And I read that and I thought, holy shit! The first three lines could be completely different, and I should go look at them and try to pay attention to it. Oh, and then I have this little bit on Frank Ocean and the spelling of Concord, and the fact that on separate versions of Blonde, his album, it's spelled B-L-O-N-D or B-L-O-N-D-E, and I think it's the French versus English spelling. And I think White Ferrari influenced one of the songs. Maybe Snowglobes, I think? So I don't know, it's interesting, just another connection to Frank Ocean, and I didn't want to get crucified for taking Concord without an E to be literal in the song. So a chord harmonious in itself, not needing others to resolve it. And the three lines I'm talking about, Concord this organ, the new one I'm forming, it's grown so persistent on you. So Concord this organ, the first bit. The idea of bringing an organ into Concord, which the definition I took from my dictionary is to make it to play a chord that would be harmonious in oneself. So it's like the idea that that you would bring this organ into a state of harmony within itself, right? And so I'm taking Isaac, the lead singer. Maybe this is a leap, and it's over-analysis, or maybe, I don't know, over-analysis. And maybe it's a leap that is unbelievably wrong. But I'm thinking that he is calling himself an organ, right? And he's asking Concord, the person, I'll get to that. But he wants to be put into a state of harmony within himself, right? He's the organ, is what I'm getting at. There's a picture of the Roaches, Hammond song. It's a nice song. And then I think it's Jimmy Smith playing a Hammond B3 over there. Then the next two lines are, the new one I'm forming, it's grown so persistent on you. So the chord that the narrator is forming needs Concord the person. So the person, Concord, Isaac is forming a dependence. His chord or life or whatever is becoming extremely dependent on Concord, the person, you. And so he's talking to Concord, which I'll bring it up once I get to the next two songs, and he's saying, maybe he doesn't even say this, maybe it's something he wishes, that Concord would show him how to be harmonious in himself like he sees them. It's like he sees them as harmonious within themselves. And the more I say it, the more it sounds like overanalysis, but I got really excited about this. Concord plays the organ. So I doubt either of these people are Concord, but if they are, feel free to correct me. Maybe you guys have photos of them. So I'm going to get Concord, the person playing the organ. So these are Bread Song and Good Will Hunting. My thesis, I don't know. My assumption is that Concord plays the organ based off of these two songs. So from Bread Song, Isaac says, "You played a good organ, and the world gathered singing," assuming he's talking about Concord. And from Good Will Hunting, "And you teach me to play the piano," right? I'm assuming he's also talking about Concord here. I'm assuming every time there's like a you in the album, it's either about the audience or Concord. That's just what I assume. So for Bread Song, "You played a good organ." If Isaac is the organ, Concord can play Isaac well. Or from Isaac's point of view, Concord seems to be in a state of concord, like the person Concord is harmonious within themselves, right? And he notices that in them. And the whole of Bread Song guides towards one-sided dependence. It's like the idea that this woman doesn't want him in her bed the same way they don't want bread in their bed. And Isaac needs Concord for harmony, and Concord does not need Isaac, right? Concord can play the organ just fine. That's what he's saying, right? Concord plays a good organ, and they can find harmony within themselves and don't need Isaac. And then Good Will Hunting, the lyrics are, "It's been just a weekend, but in my mind, we summer in France with our genius daughters now, and you teach me to play the piano." Oh, and all like the line breaks and whatnot, I took from the lyric booklet, so I just wrote it as it is in here. So this is further that Concord would be one to play the organ, right? It's a keyed instrument, and she's teaching Isaac to play the piano, and maybe it's Isaac thinking that in the future, if they spend time together, Concord would be able to show him how to find harmony within himself. Or maybe that being with Concord would be a way for him to find harmony within himself, which makes like the whole rest of the album, which I think the place where he inserted the blade is about cheating, like really sad. Anyways, next words. Oh, yeah, okay. This is a bit literary. Maybe this bit will be pretentious. I don't know. I wrote this and I haven't looked at it until I went over this with JoJo. The idea that words can take many meanings and make meaning and are hard to know, right? Okay. Oh, and this comes up in this book quite a bit, and the author, Heinrich, is talking about the words of war, such as bombardment, barrage, curtain fire, mines, gas, tanks, machine guns, hand grenades. Words, but they hold the horror of the world. It's just the idea that words are extremely important. And so I'm taking these words to be extremely important and well thought out, which I think they are. Drinking Song. It's a W.B. Yeats poem. And this is where one of my professors in college, a little bit of a shout out to him. So the poem goes, "Wine comes in at the mouth and love comes in at the eye. That's all we shall know for truth before we grow old and die. I lift my glass to you, or to my mouth, and I look at you and I sigh." And so for this poem, the whole thing comes down to the word sigh and how you interpret the word sigh. So from a dictionary again, sigh is to expel a deep audible breath expressing relief, contentment, or sadness, weariness, resignation, etc. And so if you take sigh to mean when you sigh you express relief, the poem is like you can take it, let's just say, from like a positive perspective, right? You sigh at the idea that this is what life will be forever. You're content with this being life forever. Or it can be from sadness or weariness. And if you take it to mean sadness or weariness, the poem is extremely sad. It's like you take that this is what life is going to be, and it makes you tired or sad, or you want to resign. And that's my... This poem I read it first. I mean, it doesn't come from my professor. I read it first in a class called Existential America, which was a really good time. And what am I getting at? Oh, so I think the writing on this album is really good and of like an extremely high quality, and I don't understand all of it, and I will never understand all of it. But it's really exciting that it sticks around in my head, and the fact that I can read a word in this book, and then it makes me think of the album is a true testament to like how good I think the writing is. And I might just be completely delusional, and who knows? I don't know. Next point, words take on many meanings. Concord can be taken to mean many things. It could be about, like I suggest, bringing Isaac to a state of harmony within himself, and like the whole idea that he's an organ, or it could mean, which is what I took it to mean the first couple times I listened to the album, it's the whole plane thing, the plane metaphor, and that travel is tough on relationships, and you can't really form a home if you travel a bunch. What's my next point here? Organ as religion, Concord as technology, Concord as an audience. Oh, I guess this was like, I was writing this to myself, saying it would be interesting to think about organ as religion. Every time the word organ is used as religion, and Concord as technology, like the idea that technology is extremely disruptive to relationships, which actually, yeah, that'd be interesting. And then Concord as the audience. Maybe I'll go back through and listen and think about that. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to make another video about this. And my last point is I'll never get what the whole story, what the whole album is about. The space bits are super, super lost on me. I don't know what those photos are. The lightsaber is for the space bits, but the one on the right, I think I looked up castrati, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I doubt I'm going to make another video about this. And I'll make one more, and that's apologizing to the people that took my last video as gospel.